problem is not the problem. The problem is your attitude about the problem. Do you understand? Jack Sparrow said that. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Moving Forward Leadership Podcast, episode 51. June's recap and monthly thoughts. Hey everybody, it's your host and founder of Moving Forward Leadership Podcast, Scott McCarthy, and welcome to my second, basically monthly recap, something new, which I just threw in last month in May. I'm going to try it out for a while and, let you guys let me know if you like this format or not. It's definitely a good format if you don't necessarily want to listen to all the shows, and basically what I'm doing is giving you a quick synopsis of the previous 3 shows throughout the month and just some ideas of what was discussed in there. And if you haven't actually listened to them, then you can go ahead and go back and listen to them if they interest you. As well, I will talk about just whatever thoughts are in my head about leadership at this time during these episodes. So let me know if you like the new format or not with the monthly episode. It is only the second time, so I do plan on, at least going for another 2 to 3 at minimum before seeking ideas or just your input, whether or not it's working for you or not. Okay. If that was just a big ramble and you have absolutely no idea what I'm talking about, welcome to the Moving Forward Leadership Podcast, because obviously you're new. Okay, what are we about here? We are about one thing only, making better leaders. That is it. And you know why we're about making better leaders? Because there are just too many crappy bosses out there, folks. That's right, I said it. Too many crappy bosses who just rely on bullying tactics, fist stomping, and yelling and screaming to get things done, vice going down the inspirational route, the mentoring route, the coaching route, okay? That's what we need more of in today's society and today's leaders, not the fist pumping, not the yelling and screaming and bullying tactics that are going on. And you know what, folks? I'm going to keep this one real. I'm going to keep it raw. There's going to be very little editing going on here. So if you hear me stumble with my words, this is it. This is Scott McCarthy in the raw, in the flesh. Well, audio flesh? Sure, whatever. Anyway, but for you new folks out there, welcome, right? Welcome. And for all you listeners out there, the thousands of you downloading this weekly, still blows my mind. Thanks for supporting. Last week we kicked off episode 50, right? And it's definitely awesome show. And I'm not going to dive into that one just yet. However, I do want to talk about the previous episodes. Okay, so episode 48, talking about courage, being a courageous leader with Shelly Francis, okay? And title pretty well said it. We're talking about different aspects of being a courageous leader, how you can be a more courageous leader, different things that it takes to be a courageous leader. And it was really interesting because the way the show went, Shelly kind of flipped the mic to me a few times in there to get my thoughts on that, which I wasn't too used to, honestly. Normally I'm the guy doing the questions and listening to the answers and then responding, but then she would flip and, say, hey, what's your thoughts on this idea? Or what are your experiences? So it was pretty neat. I did have a contest in that episode. And if you didn't listen to that episode and you didn't partake in the contest, well, sorry, because the contest is over. So Scott Youngson, Scott, if you're listening, I know you are because you've told me many times you are following me. Really appreciate it, buddy. Congratulations, bud. You win the book. Shoot me a message on whatever platform you want to, and we can discuss getting the book out to you. For anybody else, if you want a copy of Shelly's book, just go ahead to movingforwardleadership.com /resources and check it out there. All about being a courageous leader, okay? After that one, we had Jason Troy on. And Jason being, it was a super interesting episode. And Jason, being the executive coach that he is, brought a lot of different ideas to the forefront and just how, you can eliminate your leadership blind spots out there. So we were talking about basically seeing things you can't really see right now and getting rid of them. And we went down some deep rabbit holes there that I did not expect whatsoever. Talking about your past, really not just, i.e., last year or 30 days ago. We're talking about diving into your childhood past to figure out what you're not seeing, how you can eliminate them, or how you can empower others to help you identify them and eliminate them on your behalf, right? So awesome episode, super interesting. It's one of those ones where I want to definitely go back and re-listen. And I recommend if you have listened to it, I definitely think you should go back and re-listen to it a few times because there's so much great information in there. It was a super powerful episode in my point of view. All right. Again, that was episode 49. Okay. Eliminating leadership blind spots with Jason Troy. It's spelled True, Treu, but it's actually pronounced Jason Troy. And again, folks, it's easy to find the episodes for Moving Forward Leadership. All right. You just go to movingforwardleadership.com/the episode number, i.e. 4949. And it's going to take you straight to the show notes. You can do that for episode 3. You can do it for 23. You can do it for 50. Okay, which is the next episode I'm going to discuss. And episode 50, I loved it. It was a lot of fun. It was something which just wasn't done on this show ever. And we had a panel, a full leadership panel, 4 of us on there discussing leadership, basically current events and, problems or ideas. It was super awesome. I brought back 3 previous guests. So from episode 24, I brought back Heather Younger. I brought back George Penyak from episode 30. And I brought back Keisha Rivers from episode 31. The 4 of us had a riot. Okay. And it was funny when I was planning this. I was like, wow, 4 people trying to arrange 4 schedules. I often have a hard enough time with just me and a guest. But these guys, these rock stars, did it. We hit it out of the park in scheduling. We made one date and it worked. And boom, we recorded it and it was awesome. We talk about all kinds of different leadership, current events, things going on, problems. We talk about a problem down in the States with Starbucks and how leadership handled that. We get into the Volkswagen Dieselgate scandal, corporations, transparency. It was awesome. And at the end, I let them start firing questions at me and give them, I got to taste my own medicine per se, which was still a lot of fun for myself. Okay. So if you haven't listened to episode 50, this is a completely different episode that you'll never hear. And I don't know if you'll hear it anywhere else. Right. So be sure to swing by episode 50 again, movingforwardleadership.com/50. And, you are going to listen to, such a great episode. Loved it. So that was this past month. And what I'm doing is with these, monthly recaps, I'm actually going to give you a, heads up in, what's upcoming for the future month. Okay. So, episode 52, and I'm going to apologize, Jacob, if I completely botch your name here again, but Jacob Badsgard, my apologies, I'm horrible with names, pronunciation anyway, of names which are just, out of the ordinary for me personally. Anyway, I brought Jacob on, and it was a really great show. We get into the nitty-gritty details about his leadership challenges, basically being an entrepreneur, a CEO of a business, and his leadership lessons that he's been able to basically grow a very successful company that he's got going on. And we talk about, challenges faced to quick growth because his company did blow up very quickly. how he communicates his vision to ensure everybody understands it. And then, talking about, we get into remote working versus, in basically, in the office co-working setup, and a few other things. Okay. So that's episode 52 that will be outcoming around the 4th of July. The second episode that, after that, episode 53 with Joe Dodds. Now, Joe, this was definitely an interesting episode. She's from the UK, so it was actually very late for her over there, as I record in the evening. So what we're talking about with Joe is all about employee engagement and what it means to truly have employee engagement, how leaders can get their employees truly engaged with the work they're doing, and then basically 4 enablers of employee engagement a system that Joe has brought to the forefront and uses. So that's episode 53, coming around the 11th of July. 54, a very exciting episode. This is probably my second most exciting episode, outside of 50. John Conrad I was very excited about as well. He was my first big name guest. But anyway, 54, ladies and gentlemen, my first former Navy SEAL, Mark Divine, coming on the show, talking all about mindset and how we can basically establish our mind so that we can think and act and operate at the level of being a Navy SEAL. That's right, Mark Divine. And guess what? I'm just going to throw a tidbit out there. If you are not a part of the Moving Forward Leadership Mastermind, the Facebook group, you missed out, because immediately following that interview, I actually posted the raw video of the interview with Mark directly into the group. So everybody in the mastermind has literally seen this interview for months now, because it's actually been that long since I interviewed Mark. Yep, they've gotten it way ahead of all of you. So again, if you're interested in joining the mastermind, just go to movingforwardleadership.com/mastermind, and it'll take you right there. And you just ask to join, and I'll let you in. Too easy. Okay, so that's going to be episode 54. Again, super stoked to release that one to you guys. I think it's going to be a great episode. No, it's not, I don't think. It is a great episode. I was just in awe for probably most of it anyway. And then finally, the last one, Silk Celia, actually my furthest guest ever, came to us from Abu Dhabi. And we're going to be talking about basically your mind. It's a very mindset focused month this month, and it's basically, we're talking about your mindset, using your subliminal mind, a little bit of NLP, neuro linguistic programming, and those things, so that it enables you to make quicker and better decisions. All right, so those are the episodes upcoming in July. Just a note, recently, the past couple weeks, I have been a little bit off on the scheduling. I do apologize for that. However, at the same time, you have to realize that, one, it's summertime, and I do enjoy spending time outside with my family and doing different things. And, being Canadian, we have to take advantage of every single second of the nice weather when it's here. And just, some things been going on that has taken my attention away from getting the podcast back on a complete every Wednesday schedule. So again, this one is, I'm recording it right now. I'm literally going to publish it tonight, Thursday night, on the 28th of June, which is one day late. So I apologize. However, at the same time, you guys, I'm sure you all understand out there that I'm doing this out of, basically as a hobby right now, right? I'm doing it on my own time in the evenings or weekends, or whenever I basically can fit it in. So that's what's going on. And I'm sure you don't mind, because you understand you have lives as well, right? So those are the previous episodes. And then that was the, future, the next month. That's July right there. So again, Jacob Bard's kind of talking about, how he basically established his business, quickly grew it, and how he interacts, with his people as the leader, the owner of the organization. Joe Dobbs, employee engagement. Mark Divine, all about, being that Navy SEAL mindset. And then Silk, talking about, your subliminal mind and making better decisions through use of NLP and the likes. So it's a pretty interesting month upcoming. I think you'll like it. In fact, I know you will, because I enjoyed every single one of those episodes. So what's on my mind? What's in my mind? Personal development. That's what's going on in my mind. And a couple of different things. Personal development and goal setting. It's the 28th of June. We're essentially halfway through the year. Halfway. 2018, halfway done. Boom. Doesn't feel like it. Doesn't feel like it for me. I'm sure it doesn't feel like it for you. But believe it or not, we are 50% done 2018. It's crazy if you think about it. So how are you doing with your goals? How are you doing with your personal development? What have you been achieving? How are you doing with your organizational goals, your team goals, all those things? Folks, it's a really good time right now. I know a lot of people, especially us in the Northern Hemisphere, are basically getting ready. Good friend of mine, she's starting her holidays right now. All right. So summer vacations are kicking off. Kids are getting out of school. It's a great time to kick back and actually think about, where are you at with this year and what do you need to do to get where you want to be, right? So that's all about goal setting and as well your own personal development. So where are you? Have you thought about that? Have you reflected on that? Because we are halfway through the year. Like I said, it's pretty crazy if you think about it. So that's what's kind of on my mind. What are you doing to better yourself is also in my mind. I've been going on and off the reading wagon. I will fully admit I did have a goal to read at least a book a month. I will easily, I'm fairly certain right now once I start I have to go back and reflect on what books I've read so far this year. But I'm fairly certain I will easily make that goal / surpass it. Not a big deal, but if you think about it, a book a month isn't that arduous if you think about it. Heck, my wife just finished reading a book in like 3 days. It was insane. I've never seen her read so fast, so much in my life in our 13 years together. But she did. So if you think about it, like a lot of people out there say read a book a week. So a book a month, easily done for me, for sure. So that goal is definitely going to get there. But how are you doing with yours? Have you actually sat back and thought about that? Okay. So, because we're there. We're halfway there. We are halfway through the year. What other types of development are you doing? Are you taking courses? Obviously you're listening to a podcast such as this one, which which helps for sure. But are you doing other things? Are you looking for new experiences? Have you tried a new hobby? That is actually personal growth. If you get into different things. So if you don't have a musical bone chord in your body and you start trying to play the piano, for example, maybe that's going to open up a new part of your brain, right? And you're going to start seeing things differently, start doing things differently. And don't say different because you need to, but maybe because it's better. Maybe because, that's what you need to do. Just food for thought, right? I think we have a long weekend coming up here. Happy Canada Day to all the Canadians listening out there, right? It's Canada Day long weekend upcoming. I think I might try to take some time, sit back this weekend, and just reflect on, where am I at so far this year, 2018, where I want to be, and what do I need to do to get to where I want to be? Because there's definitely going to be a delta or a gap there, right? So, got to close the gap somehow. And that's what you need to do. You need to sit back, reflect on these things, I should say, and then make a plan. Make a plan on moving forward. Okay? So that's what's on my mind this week, folks. And that's pretty well it for the show today. These monthly recaps, I generally try to keep them quick, 25 minutes or so. We're at the 20-minute mark right now-ish. But I do want to say thank you to everybody out there listening. Like, listen to some of these places. Like, this is not an exhaustive list of listeners out there. United States, obviously. Canada, obviously. France. Bonjour. Comment ça va? Oui, oui. Non, je peux parler français aussi. Parce que je suis Canadien. Peru. Philippines. the Aussies out there. We have people from China, India, Bulgaria, Brazil. Oh God, where else? The UK, Spain, Greece, Slovakia, Sweden, Nigeria, Cameroon. Keep going. Uganda, India. I'm not sure if I mentioned India or the Philippines, Japan, Russia, and it pretty well keeps going and going and going. If you could see the map that I'm looking at right now, you would see a lot of shades of colors of places people are listening from. So thank you. Super neat. And, I'm just going to bring up some various statistics here and say, places where people are listening from. Paris, Boardman, Seattle, Kirkland, Santa Barbara, Melilla, San Jose, New York. Okay, those are just a few places of which people are listening from. So welcome. It's seriously humbling for me to see all these different people, areas of the world that people are listening to my voice, and most importantly, I guess, the voices of the guests that I bring on. Because this is why I do it. It's to help you become a better leader and allow you to get access to all these people. Okay? Anyway, folks, that is all I have for today. Before I sign off, as I usually do, I do want to remind you of a few different resources out there for you for the Moving Forward Leadership. Again, I already talked about the mastermind. And if you just go to movingforwardleadership.com, scroll down to the bottom, you're going to see all the different social media platforms that I'm on. Facebook is probably the most active one I'm on. It's hard, as a guy doing this on his own, it's hard to keep all these up to date. So I definitely tried to do my best on that. But, Facebook is definitely the best one, including the mastermind. I'm in there, and all the guests are in there, believe it or not. Not all, but I invite all the guests in there. So just keep that in mind. If you get into the mastermind, then you have access to talk to a lot of the guests out there. Okay? So just keep that in mind. And so talk about the Facebook group, the Facebook page. If you want to support me, there are multiple ways. You can just send me a big fat check if you want to, or easier, maybe better for you, vice the big fat check, although that would be nice for me, is just go to my Patreon account. Again, scroll to the bottom of the webpage. You'll see it there, the Patreon link. And there you'll actually get things in return if you're basically sponsoring the show. And I'm not using that money to line my pockets. I'm using it to reinvest into the podcast, the website. There are more things I want to do for the website, but I need the money to get it built, because this guy is not a web dev, not one bit. However, if you do want a good web developer, reach out to me, because the folks that built movingforwardleadership.com, fantastic job. And I just got an update to the website, which they did for free for me, which is amazing. You'll notice a couple minor tweaks in there now. So absolute great guys. Okay. But yeah, that's what the plan is. That's Patreon. That's my website. Yeah, I think that's enough for now. Don't you? Anyway, folks, this is it. This was the monthly recap and just my thoughts. Again, super chill, raw. You get it as it comes. And that's basically it. So until next week, keep pushing, keep trying, keep moving forward. Take care now.